When a gun is pointed at you, dodge left while you simultaneously grab the gun with your right hand, placing your thumb on the hammer, which prevents him from firing the gun. By evading to the left, you move yourself out of the gun's line of fire. At this time, you can quickly twist the gun up in a counterclockwise direction while advancing with your right foot. Your left foot crosses behind while you pivot your body into your opponent, grabbing their wrist and taking the gun out of his hands. Their arm is now twisted and immobilized by your body. At this time, you can decide to keep the gun or toss it away. If you toss the gun away, then press both of your thumbs into the back of his hand, just below his ring finger. This is the pressure point that will allow you to better control your opponent. Just using both thumbs is not enough. If your opponent is very strong, he may still be able to resist. So in addition to the pressure on the wrist, you press your side against their forearm while you twist their wrist towards the ground. Now that he is on the ground, do not let go, but keep the pressure on the back of the wrist while you change your grip. At the same time, your right hand should control their elbow. Press their elbow into their ear as you pin their wrist to the ground. Press your right knee down onto the opponent's side for extra control. Their exposed ribs are very vulnerable, and they will not be able to escape from your hold. If someone points a gun at you, you can also dodge right, grabbing the gun with your left hand. With your right hand, grab their elbow. Pull their elbow down and back towards you while you push their hand towards them to their left. Now simultaneously push their elbow up and over while you pull the gun down. Now you can pull your opponent down to the ground and take the gun away from him. For this technique, evade to your right, while you grab your opponent's arm with both hands. Or you can strike with two hands. With your left hand, grab his wrist while you strike towards you behind his elbow with your right. Twist his arm clockwise with your left and push while you pull simultaneously with your right. This will pin your opponent to the ground into this position. Now reach behind his elbow with your right and pull up while you push down with your left and pin their left arm to his chest with your knee. When someone points a gun at you, another technique is to step left and grab as in gun disarm 1, making sure you control the gun's hammer so that it cannot fire. Twist the gun up and counterclockwise. Step right and strike him. At this time, if you apply pressure to their wrist, they will drop the gun. With your right hand, pull their neck down and clockwise while pushing their hand up. Move clockwise as you do this and bring them to the ground. Keep twisting them and push them until they are locked. You control them with the pressure on the wrist. Switch hands on their wrist. Their other arm is still free, so pin their arm to the ground with your free hand while applying pressure to their rib cage with your knee. By pinning their arm, twisting their wrist, and pressing down on them, there is nothing they can do to escape. Here is a variation on gun disarm 6. After striking your opponent in the neck, grab their shoulder and use your elbow to strike him in the chin. Now step back and pull their shoulder down and back while keeping pressure on the wrist. Once your opponent is on the ground, you can restrain him, pinning their elbow to the ground. Or you can twist their wrist into a wrist lock while pinning their chest to the ground with your knee. Your opponent's other arm is still free to strike at you. If they try to hit you with their free hand, you can apply pressure to their wrist, and the pain will render their attack useless. Striking your opponent in the chin causes him to lose his bearings and makes it easier for you to take him to the ground. Follow the basic setup for gun disarm 7. After disarming the gun and striking him with your elbow, push his chin up with your elbow. This will cause his whole body to rise. Your opponent will want to come down, so oblige him by pushing him to the ground while maintaining pressure on his wrist. At this point, you can lock his arm, you can break his arm, or you can just leave him on the ground. Here is another variation on gun disarm 6. After striking him in the neck, bring your hand back fast into their arm. This will cause him to drop the gun. Now change your grip on their wrist as you pin his forearm with your right arm. Grab your own wrist with your right hand and twist both hands down. This will bring your opponent to the ground. At this point, he is immobilized. You apply pressure by pulling his wrist towards you with your left hand while twisting his arm with your right arm. Press your knee down on his chest for extra control. Here is a variation of gun disarm 4. When you evade left, grab the gun from underneath and push it up. Your opponent will counter by trying to push the gun back down. When they do, twist the gun counterclockwise and down so that the gun points towards them. Grab their wrist with your left, keeping your thumb on their pressure point, and then pull down and back, taking your opponent to the ground. This is an excellent technique because it is both simple and effective. Now I will do it a little faster. Go up, twist, and down. Now you can take the gun away and do whatever you want. For this technique, you're going to step right and grab with your left. Grab their shoulder with your right and move your right leg behind their left while you push them down to the right. Make sure, when you take them down, his gun is not pointed at you, but away. Twist his wrist while you push his elbow forward with your right hand. Press your knee down on his chest to immobilize him. If you apply enough pressure with your right, you can break his arm. Now you can do many things, like mounting your opponent and applying a different armbar. There are many variations you can do from gun disarm 1 or gun disarm 2's basic setup. Step left and grab. Step around to the left as you twist the gun clockwise. Roll your forearm up their elbow as you twist the gun, controlling your opponent to the ground. Twist their wrist with your right hand and take away the gun. Now you can do anything. You can hit them in the back of the head. But make sure your opponent is controlled by placing your knee into the small of their back. Your control point is with the twisting of their wrist. There are many different techniques that evolve out of gun disarm 1's dodge and grab setup. For example, after you step and grab their gun, continue with gun defense 1 through to this point. After taking the gun away, if you don't toss it, you can press your arm down on their elbow joint and wrap your arm up to their chest. At this point, you can take him to the ground, and their arm is completely locked. Now you can take the gun in your other hand. If you apply pressure at this point, you can break the opponent's arm. You can also, as you step left, grab the gun from underneath and push up. As you step right, twist the gun counterclockwise. Continue to twist the gun as you bring it down towards the ground. This will take your opponent down as well. At this point, you can take the gun away and finish the lock as before.